Okay, so I find myself kind of thinking about this quite often, and I just had to make a video about it because I just want to know if I'm like alone in this assessment when I watch the shit that other kids be watching nowadays. For my people that were born in, I guess, 1990 window to 2005, do y'all ever really just sit there and reminisce about how we really grew up with the literal peak? I mean, the literal golden age of not only Saturday morning cartoons, but kids' cartoons, preteen shows, teenager shows, and educational television, like deadass. Like, we really have had the literal epitome of peak throughout our entire childhoods that no one will be able to recreate. I mean, I'm sure a lot of y'all parents like mine, whenever you were watching what you were watching as a kid on television, would walk in and give you some long history lesson on how, man, when I was growing up, Saturday morning cartoons was the shit. And don't get me wrong, they were the shit. Like, the stuff my dad put me onto, Flintstones, Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, New Scooby-Doo Show, Yogi Bear, Mr. Magoo, I pay homage. That shit was fire. But let's be real. They had no idea the peak that we were watching on television as children. I mean, our Saturday morning cartoons alone wiped the floor with anything they were watching. Starting with my WB kids, we had Shaolin Showdown, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Beyblade, Beat 'em On, Bakugan, you had Static Shock, Justice League Unlimited, The Batman, Jackie Chan Adventures, and then on top of that, you had ABC that you could flip to that had The Replacements, Fillmore, Teacher's Pet, Recess. Like, y'all weren't touching us. WB also had shows like Men in Black the series, Ozzy and Drix, Batman Beyond, X-Men Evolution. I mean, be real. Y'all was not even touching us, but that's not even close to the real peak that we got as kids. I mean, Channel 43, 44, and 45, if you know, you know, those were the original big three. Those motherfuckers was holding it down for years. I was born in 98, so forgive me if I'm missing some of those real nostalgic 90s Nick shows, but I feel like I was born in the perfect time where I was right in the middle, where I could experience the old and the new and appreciate all of it. And you had absolute classic shows like Chalk Zone, Rocko's Modern Life, Rocket Power, Invader Zim. There were people that loved Ren and Stimpy, but I mean, for those people who really like that show, I kind of looked at y'all pretty sideways, but if that was your thing, you know, do you. And of course you had Rugrats, All Grown Up, The Wild Thornberrys. There are people out here who don't know who Donnie is, and he the reason most of us be talking crazy shit in the first place. Then you had straight peak cartoons. I'm talking about season 1 through 3 SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, My Life as a Teenage Robot, Danny Phantom, and I'm not even gonna hold you. I didn't necessarily like As Told by Ginger as much when I was growing up, but once I hit that 11 to 12-year-old age, I really appreciated that show. And now being an adult, I feel like I need that back in my life because that theme song hit different. Someone once told me the grass is much greener on the other side. They was talking that. Then we had our real life shows. You had Unfabulous, you had Zoe 101, where everybody and their grandmother wanted to go to PCA, Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, all that shit died with Sam and Cat, but regardless, we still had peak up until then. Then imagine this, and we're still on Channel 43 here. Imagine you sitting in your living room one day as a kid, you see an advertisement for a show called Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is about to be just a really cool show that you can watch and talk with your friends about. It's going to be a cool little action show. And it actually ends up being one of the greatest pieces of fiction you've ever seen in your life to this day. To this day, it holds up. Kids will never understand what it was like to watch Appa be dragged away from Aang and go through and watching that episode, Appa's Lost Days, and the buildup that we actually got to see with Aang fighting Fire Lord Ozai. Like, people don't appreciate storytelling like that anymore, man. That was amazing to grow up with. Moving on to Channel 44, which of course not only had endless hit classic television shows and cartoons, but on top of that, we had the best Disney Channel original movies to ever grace the screen. I feel so bad for these kids these days, man, because they don't understand what it was like to wait each Friday and hear that, let's watch a Disney Channel movie. Like that shit. You waited all week for shit like that, and it was always worth it for the most part. And you had shows like Even Stevens, Lizzie McGuire, the cult classics. You had That's So Raven, Corey in the House, Phineas and Ferb, Emperor's New School, Proud Family. You had American Dragon, Jake Long, Sweet Life on Deck, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, with Hannah Montana, and nobody Nobody will be able to recreate the crazy crossovers that they came up with. That's So Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. We all lost our freaking minds over that shit. Also had shows like Sunny with a Chance, Jonas, Good Luck Charlie, Ant Farm, I guess, Gravity Falls for sure, Life with Derek. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I found that show to be pretty good. Once we really got to Dog with a Blog, though, and Liv and Maddie, that's when that happened. That's when Disney kind of died. But Disney was so good, you could fuck around and be up at 3 and 4 a.m. and still find gems. You had shit like Dave the Barbarian, Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, Lloyd in Space, The Weekenders. Does anybody remember The Weekenders? And we move on to Channel 45, the creme de la creme. The golden age of cartoons. The literal peak of all kids' TV shows. I'm talking about Cartoon freaking Network. God, I miss you so much. It's so crazy there's going to be a generation of kids growing up who don't know what Cartoon Network is. Does that even sound right? Let's go down the list, because there's a lot of freaking shows there. You got Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, What's New Scooby-Doo, Camp Lazlo, Chowder, Flapjack, Codename Kids Next Door, Ben 10, Teen Titans, Megas XLR. I know y'all remember that joint. What, you had My Gym Partner's a Monkey, and of course Courage the Cowardly Dog, which gave me all the reason in the world to talk like this. Muriel. There was some other shows I missed. I mean, I'm still going. You got Ed and Eddie, the entire Toonami lineup that had One Piece, Bobo, Naruto, whatever other anime that came on there, Samurai Jack, which is an absolute cult classic. Star Wars The Clone Wars 16, which had me wanting to work at a mall at 12. Don't know how that was going to happen, but I damn sure wanted to do it because of that show. And last but certainly not least, one of the greatest cartoons to ever grace Cartoon Network's screen, Class of 3000. If you know, you know. Oh, Peanut, we love you, baby. Oh, Peanut, we love you, baby. Okay, yeah, what? I rap my state, might as well throw it up. See, I've been eating peanuts and face since I was 2. Now I recommend the times off for a stew. Scoop peanut butter, yeah, a peanut brittle, yeah, peanut with some jelly and crackers is in the middle. All right, I've been eating peanuts from start since I was little. Bankhead, Lil D, Madison, playing fiddle, goddamn. Oh, seriously, Class of 3000 was the shit. If people did not, I'm saying, like, there's no way kids are growing up without these kind of shows in their lives. I know a lot of people are saying, well, most of these shows aren't gone. You can find them on streaming. Yes, but we would have to rely on a lot of the new age parents to let their kids watch these kind of things, which most of them are not, because I don't know. I mean, our era of kids television was so amazing. We had underrated cartoons that a lot of us watched that we didn't even know others watched. I had shit like Martin's Mysteries, Kappa Mikey. A lot of people probably did watch Zeke and Luther and Pair of Kings, but I'm just saying, like, there's so many of those. Puka, there's so many shows like that people watch that like, you didn't even know. You thought you were alone in that. But I promise you're not. Then on top of that, to close this whole thing out, I do got to talk about the educational television. Because, look, we had it best. Between the Lions, Arthur, Cyber Chase, Backyardigans, as annoying as hell as she was, Dora, and Max and Ruby. And we all hated Ruby, I'm sure. But hey, it was still entertaining as fuck to watch Max just ruin her life. Bob the Builder, Little Bill, Hanny Manny. I mean, look, we had it all. Little Einsteins. 1, 2, 3. We're going on the sky. Little Einsteins, climb aboard, get ready to explore. There's so much to find. Little Einstein. We had Blue's Clues. We were literally alive for the transition from Steve to Joe. And that fucked all of us up, because fuck Joe. Seriously, man, it dawns on me every day. The fact that a lot of these kids just did not get to grow up with these a lot of these kids are not going to be able to grow up with these immaculate shows, man, because these shaped my entire childhood, my entire personality. It's the reason I act so nutty now. I'm fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Those commercials had me fucked up too.